Goosebumps is rated GB7 because it may be too spooky for children under 7.
Hey creeps, Cameron Chaney here, author of Autumn Crow and Autumn Crow High, Fresh Hell, and welcome back to Library Macabre. Today I have another Goosebumps collection video for you, and we're going to be looking at Goosebumps Series 2000 and Goosebumps Presents. So the reason why I decided to pair these together is because Goosebumps Series 2000 is a very short series. There's only 25 books total, and the Goosebumps Present series is also very short, coming out at just 18 books. So I thought, why not combine the two and make the video just a little bit longer? If you haven't seen the first part in my updated Goosebumps collection series, it is up here. You can go and watch it. It's covering the original 62 books, which everybody knows what the original 62 books looks like. But I have first printings of most of them, and they have a lot of cool little bonuses like trading cards and stickers and tattoos and stuff. But anywho, let's get started with Goosebumps Series 2000.
Here, kitty kitty. Here, kitty kitty. Here comes the bride. Here comes the bride. Teacher's pet. Teacher's pet.
Enter the new millennium of fear. Goosebumps Series 2000 by R.L. Stine, wherever books are sold. Get ready to be scared, really scared.
I love that Christopher Pike is over here on my shelf looking at me thinking, you're talking about that piece of trash again? Hey, Pike, be nice, man. We're talking about R.L. Stine here. Starting off, we have the very first Goosebumps Series 2000 book. It is called Cry of the Cat. So Goosebumps Series 2000 was kind of an answer to the dwindling book sales of Goosebumps. They wanted to revamp the series and make it just a smidge darker, so that way it would appeal to the kids who had already kind of outgrown Goosebumps by this point in the late 90s. So these books are just a tad bit darker, a tad bit scarier. At least that's how they're marketed. But anyway, Cry of the Cat, a very strange book. I have read this one, and it's weird, but I like it. It's a pretty good time. Honestly, I wish they had just continued the Goosebumps series as it was originally, so that way all of these books would have that original Goosebumps border. But still, I think it's a pretty good design overall, and I like that the covers are completely embossed, whereas with the original Goosebumps books, it was just the font. You didn't have all of this embossing on the actual artwork itself. So I think this adds a whole new layer of depth to Tim Jacobus's artwork. And because I have a first printing of Cry of the Cat, it does come with the decal, which you could use to put on a t-shirt. I had another copy of this book, the one that I grew up with, and I tore the decal out, and instead of putting it on a t-shirt, I used it as a poster. I guess I didn't know at the time how to properly apply a decal to a t-shirt, so I was lazy and just tacked it up to my wall, but I eventually found another copy of this. Am I gonna put it on a t-shirt? Heck no, it's staying in the book. Next, we have book 2, which is the return of Slappy the Dummy, and this time he's in search of a bride. We have Bride of the Living Dummy, which is one of my very, very favorite Living Dummy books. I think of all the ones I've read, this one's the best. Is it technically as good as, say, Night of the Living Dummy 2 or 3? No, but this book is just kind of crazy and off the rails, especially toward the end of the book. If you've seen the TV episode, it does the same thing. It just goes completely bonkers. And there's kind of a really dark twist involved that watching the episode just recently, I was like, damn, this is kind of messed up. Creature Teacher. This is book 3 in the series, which has an awesome cover. And again, we've got that embossed cover, and it's just got so much depth. It really pops out, like the book literally pops out at you. There's actually a picture of me as a kid at the photography studio that my sister used to manage, and she always liked to have me come in and she would take pictures, and there is a picture of me holding this book in one of the photo sessions. She would just kind of let me bring whatever I wanted, and that was usually just like a stack of books. So yeah, there's a picture of me holding this book. Goosebumps and I go back a long way. Next, we have the first and only Goosebumps two-parter here. This was a kind of a mini-series event, And as you can see, if you put the books together, they match up and make one single image, which is pretty neat. We have Invasion of the Body Squeezers Part 1, which is actually a Scholastic Book Club edition. As you can see here, there's no barcode. And if you open it up, they have an ad for a Goosebumps Scholastic Collectors Club that you could subscribe to through the Scholastic book orders. So this isn't a true first edition, it's a book club edition, but it does have that cool insert, and you've got this kid just screaming his head off. And then here is part 2, which is a first edition, first print. I've never read these before, but I've actually heard they're not great, so I'll have to read them for myself and see what I think. I've actually still not read very many of the Series 2000 books. I've read maybe 10 of them if I were to count. I need to eventually just read all of them, and maybe I'll do a reading vlog where I binge the whole series. We'll see. It really just depends on if you guys are interested in that kind of thing. So you have to let me know down below in the comments, so that way I know that's what you want to see. I Am Your Evil Twin, which I think has a really cool cover. I like the shattered glass, and then you see the evil twin just beneath the surface there. I had a copy of this that was pretty damaged and torn up from just having it since I was a kid. But this is a newer copy that I've found recently at a thrift mall. It was like 50 cents and it's in great shape. So I picked this up really quick to replace my other copy. Revenge Are Us. What a great title. This is also a really nice cover, though I have nothing to say about the actual book. And that's another weird thing about the Goosebumps Series 2000 is that they don't have traditional synopses on the backs of the books. It's just like a quote from the book. So there's really no way of me knowing exactly what this is even about, but I'm guessing it involves revenge. Fright Camp. Look at this amazing artwork. It's so good. My experience with Series 2000 is that they're not quite as good as the original books, but Tim Jacobus, he's always good. It doesn't matter what he does. He cannot fail. Look how amazing this artwork is. This guy is equal parts cuddly and terrifying. And again, we have another camp book. So R.L. Stine loved to do a camp book every summer, and this is continuing that theme. This is a cover I did not like as a kid, and it still creeps me out because I hate spiders. You may say, oh Cameron, spiders mean no harm. They're more afraid of you than you are of them. I had a traumatizing spider experience once, and that thing charged at me, and it was coming for me, and I know it because I could see it in all of its eyes. It didn't look too much different than this one, actually. So this is Are You Terrified Yet? Yes!
Microverse, Micro-Universe, Maximum Action! Incredible new worlds of microplay are within your grasp! Enter Transformers Beast Wars. The Maximal Killer Whale storms to the surface. The Predacon Spider attacks with an insectoid assault. The whale takes a stinging hit, then launches a killer counterattack. Then enter the Goosebumps Terror Tower. It's an in-your-face fright fest. Fear awaits you. Drop through the room and escape from doom. Microverse, Micro-Universe, Maximum Action. Microverse. Microplay set sold separately.
Headless Halloween, which has probably my favorite cover of the Goosebumps Series 2000 books. I have read this one, and I remember it being pretty strange, but I would like to reread it eventually. I need to get a new copy of this one because I was not very kind to this book as a kid. Here's another one that I have read, and I remember it being pretty strange. I mean, I like strange, but for Goosebumps, it was just kind of weird. Attack of the Graveyard Ghouls, and this is another favorite cover. I love how gory it is. Like, this guy's eyeball is drooping out of his socket. These zombies look so decayed. This guy has like an eyeball that's turned white. It's very scary looking. This really does remind me of Return of the Living Dead. These zombies are like, I just want to party.
I just want to party.
Brain juice. Very striking, stark image here. Just like the black background and a brain covered in purple juice. Very simple, but very effective. This one sounds like just a really weird, off-the-wall alien story that I'm very curious to read. I have to get to this. I've had this book since it came out. I still haven't read it. Return to Horrorland, which I've read, and I just don't really remember anything about it. I, of course, remember just about everything about One Day at Horrorland, the first book. This one, I can't tell you hardly anything about it. I remember enjoying this, I just have no memory of it. Jekyll and Heidi. I've not read this, but this cover, every single time I see it, makes me want to just sit down and read it right now. I love the perspective, that warped perspective, which Tim Jacobus has used many times throughout the whole Goosebumps series, going back to the very first book. But this one's like an extreme angle, and it just looks so cool, very dynamic. He uses it here too in the next book, which is called Scream School, which is just this extreme angle. It kind of warps everything. I read this one recently and did not enjoy it. I was very disappointed by it because I love the cover with this red-headed mohawk guy and his face is melting. It's just very gnarly and a really cool looking character, but the book itself isn't really horror or spooky. For me, just nothing happened in it and I was very underwhelmed. The Mummy Walks. I love a good mummy story, so I'm excited to get to this one whenever I start binging through the series. This is another one that I used to have a pretty torn up copy of, but I recently was able to replace it for like 50 cents. I've had a little bit of luck replacing some of these. This, however, is not one of them because this is the copy, I don't know if you guys remember, from my last Goosebumps collection video when we were looking at Series 2000. I went to go put this back on the shelf and the cover ripped. Oh, it was a little traumatizing, and I think it was traumatizing to everybody in the comments too, because it was a terrible sound. It wasn't a good moment. I still have to replace this one and get a nicer copy. That tear is really bugging me. Horrors of the Black Ring. I have read this. However, I was a little kid when I did so I don't remember too much about this. Again, all I can really comment on is the cover art and how amazing it looks. Return to Ghost Camp, which again, I've read, but I don't remember anything about it. I guess these books just aren't that memorable for me personally, but I do love the original Ghost Camp book. I read that as a kid and I remember most of that book. Like, that one really stayed with me even though I only read it one time. This one I read once and totally forgot about it. So they're just not quite as strong as that original series.
Can you scare R.L. Stein? Look inside Lunchables for a chance to win a trip to New York.
Many will enter, few will win.
And help R.L. Stein write a Goosebumps Series 2000 book. You're not chicken, are you?
No,
Be afraid. Be very afraid. I don't know if this actually features a dragon. I hope it does, because a Goosebumps book with a dragon, like, yes, please. It sounds awesome. It's very different for a Goosebumps book to feature a dragon like that, so I think it's cool. The Haunted Car, which is one of the few Goosebumps Series 2000 books to be republished with the newer covers. I guess it's just like a Christine knockoff, just for kids. I've not read it, but it does look cool. I'm sure I'll enjoy it. Christine is actually one of my favorite Stephen King stories. Full Moon Fever. This is another one that I've read, and it's basically The Haunted Mask, but instead of a mask, you have him turning into a werewolf. If I'm remembering correctly, there's like a candy bar that he eats, and he starts to turn into a werewolf. So a combination of The Werewolf of Fever Swamp and The Haunted Mask. Slappy's Nightmare, which for a long time was considered one of the rarest Goosebumps books. I don't know if it still is. I've not really checked because I've owned this one since I was really little, and I've just had no reason to really look into it because I own it. I'm too busy looking for books I don't own, and I'm never gonna sell this, so there's no point of me looking on eBay. So you can go and look and see. Let me know in the comments down below, is this still rare? Are people still paying an arm and a leg for this? And then we have the last two books in the series, number 24, Earth Geeks Must Go, and number 25, The Ghost in the Mirror. And there was gonna be a book 26 of Series 2000, but it was canceled. That being said, we do have cover art right here by Tim Jacobus, and the book was later repurposed as The Adventures of Shrinkman, which also has cover art by Jacobus, just not the same cover art. So in a way, this is book 26. R.L. Stein just took his original outline and wrote it in a much shorter fashion. It's a little bit smaller than most Goosebumps books, and it's got that different cover art, but it's book 26 in my mind. Now that we're done looking at Goosebumps Series 2000, we're going to get into possibly the weirdest Goosebumps series that has ever existed. But first, a commercial break.
A most chilling experience is waiting for you. You can make your next party a real scream with a Goosebumps ice cream cake for a limited time from your local TCBY treat shop. A taste so good you can send shivers down your friends' taste buds. TCBY Goosebumps ice cream cakes for a limited time. And for $5, you can get TCBY treats, gift certificates, and offers from Walden Books, Party City, and DreamWorks Interactive.
Welcome back. It's time to look at all 18 books in the Goosebumps Presents series. Goosebumps Presents is a series of TV tie-in books. So basically what they did was they took the original Goosebumps books, they adapted them into TV episodes, which the TV episodes were very faithful in spirit to the books, and some of them were pretty much direct adaptations, but others were pretty different in a lot of ways. And then for the Goosebumps Presents series, they took those episodes and made a novelization of them, but also changed a lot of things. So a lot of these novelizations are very different from the TV episodes and from the original books. And then they gave them these new covers featuring pictures from the episodes. There are still images from each episode in the middle of the books. I don't know why they did this. I don't know why they didn't just take the original Goosebumps books by R.L. Stine and just make TV versions. Why did they have to pay somebody who was not R.L. Stine to make a novelization of the episodes? It's so weird because the books already existed. It's a little extra. But I love these books. I love the TV images. I love the fact that we have like alternate versions of these books. It's cool. So here we have the first one, which is The Girl Who Cried Monster. A really good episode with a very gnarly monster. Next is book 2, The Cuckoo Clock of Doom. As a kid, I would always read the original books, and then I would watch the TV episodes, and then I would read the books that were based off the TV episodes. Now, it has been a long time since I've done that. I was a kid when I read these books, so I would eventually like to reread these too, and just see how strange they are, because I remember them being pretty weird, but I know I would notice a lot more about these now that I'm an adult. Welcome to Camp Nightmare, which was a two-parter that is still the same size as all of the other Presents books. This is, I think, the only one I have that isn't a first printing. Return of the Mummy, Night of the Living Dummy 2, which I wanted so bad as a kid, but I couldn't get my hands on it. I was never able to find it anywhere. So eventually I had my dad order a used copy for me off of Amazon. At this point, I was already in 5th grade, so Goosebumps had kind of come and gone by that point, but I was still really into it, and I wanted this book so bad, and I was thrilled when I finally got a copy. Though I do remember after my dad ordered this for me, I waited like 2 months for it to come in. Every single day, my stepdad would come home from work and check the mail, and I'd be like, is it here? Did it come? Are there any packages for me? Every day for like 2 months, and he started to get really aggravated with me about it. And then finally he ended up pulling the book out and being like, here, it came. So in the back of my head, I was like, you've had this book all along. You just wanted to teach me how to be patient and wait for it. But in the meantime, I was also worried that it got lost in the mail. So don't do that kind of stuff to your kids. Don't play mind games. It's just gonna waste your own time. Goosebumps Presents My Hairiest Adventure. So as you can see, they did a cover change. I like it. I like this, but I also like the font here with the dripping letters and the pattern behind the letters with the spider web and stuff. It looks very cool, so I do like it. All the rest of the books look like this. Number 7, The Headless Ghost. A very good episode. Be careful what you wish for. Most of these I have are in great shape. Like a lot of these are in mint condition. They're all first prints, so very happy with that. Go Eat Worms. Did I mention that since my last Goosebumps collection video that I've completed my collection of these? I don't think I had this one the last time I made a video about my books. Bad Hair Day, which was the first one I ever bought. Let's Get Invisible. Another one I don't think I owned the last time I made a video about these. Attack of the Mutant. Ghost Beach. This one I also just recently got. Another thing I noticed, even though the books are super short, the font is so big. It's huge. I'm kind of wondering if maybe they created this Presents series to kind of be something for a slightly younger audience, like 3rd and 4th grade, because this does kind of look like, you know, Magic Tree House level reading to me. So maybe it's for a younger audience. You Can't Scare Me, which if you have seen Harriet the Spy, you would know that this is Marion Hawthorne, the most evil character that has ever existed. If you've seen the movie, you know. Attack of the Jack-o'-lanterns, which this is actually the copy I've had since I was very little, and it's pretty worse for wear. The spine you can't really see, but it's all taped up. Eventually I would love to get a replacement copy of this, but it's rare and very expensive.
I hate it!
Calling All Creeps. As you can see, they changed the design of the creeps. On the original book cover, the creeps are purple. They're almost like purple dinosaurs. They look so cool. In the episode, they look pretty much the same, but they're like yellow. They're just not quite as cool looking, but they're fine. And the final book of Goosebumps Presents is Revenge of the Lawn Gnomes, another book that is considered the rarest of all Goosebumps books. So I'm very lucky to have this and that I didn't have to spend a ton of money. I got this at Half Price Books for hardly any money whatsoever.
Infamy! Infamy! They've all got it in for me.
Get a free spine-chilling Goosebumps bookmark inside special packs of sugar puffs.
It's a monster! Gotcha. Wait for me!
So my friends, we have come to the end of the video, but don't fret because I will be back with even more. We've got Give Yourself Goosebumps to look at, which is a very large series of choose your own adventure style Goosebumps books. And I have an almost complete set now, which I am so happy to say. I'm just looking for one more. If you're a Goosebumps collector, you probably know which one I'm still looking for. So stay tuned. We've got a lot more coming here on Library Macabre. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Later, creeps.